Hello everyone, it's Jeannie Peters, your host here with the Real Food Culinary Bootcamp, finishing up week number 2. It's Sunday night, and I just wanted to check in with all of you and see how things have been going. I've been reading a lot of your notes on the forum, and I've been taking a closer look at your assessments, and I can see that many of you have really been making a point to add in more foods with color into your diet. You know, you're incorporating more of the starchier carbohydrates from vegetables. And I wanted to just finish up this week with a couple of things. One was that I showed you a couple of videos on how you could use grains that have been soaked. I was showing you things like, this is millet here, which we're going to be having tomorrow, which has been soaking for about 24 hours right now in a combination of water with a little bit of whey from some Greek yogurt. And now I'm going to show you how I took my garbanzo beans, which have been soaking for about 3 days now, and they started off soaking in, again, just a little bit of clear water with just a tiny bit of whey, and now they've actually sprouted. So I just want to go ahead and just pan in right now that after about 3 days of just sitting in the soaking water that you actually see these little tails. And those little tails are an indication that they're sprouted, and those sprouts are loaded with a greater quality of protein. Your body's able to better digest these proteins. You've also dramatically increased the enzyme content. So what I'm going to show you right now is how to make a raw hummus using these soaked garbanzo beans, along with some garlic. I've got some herbs here out of my garden, which includes some parsley and some dill, and something that maybe some of you have never seen before. This is called chervil, and it's much more popular in Europe. It's kind of it's related to the carrot family. It's a lot milder than a parsley, and it works really well in butter dishes. It works really well in eggs. It has a stimulating effect. It has a little bit of a flavor like parsley, anise, and fennel. And so at this springtime, it's wonderful. So I'm going to go ahead and incorporate a little bit of that into our hummus, along with some fresh lemons. And I'm using the Meyer lemons, which I'm going to go ahead and just squeeze up right now. And one of the distinguishing features about a Meyer lemon that is so great is that you get a lot of juice. Some of you might not have access to it, but here in California, we're really fortunate, you know, to have these thinner skinned lemons that really produce a lot of juice. So if you didn't have a Meyer, then just use your regular lemon. And sometimes a quick way of being able to make sure that you're going to get more juice out of your lemons is to make sure that they're at room temperature. And if you do have a microwave, you can stick it in for about 10 seconds, and just warming it up like that, you can then just pull out a lot of more of the juice. I'm not a big fan of microwaves, but you know, that's maybe one place where for 10 seconds you might zap it and you're going to get a little bit more warmth, so you'll produce more juice. We're also going to add a little bit of olive oil, and this is an extra virgin olive oil, which is actually cold pressed. I'm kind of excited. We got invited to a restaurant here in Los Angeles called Fig and Olive. Is a restaurant that has a chef from Provence, and he's featuring this particular olive oil, so I'm going to use a little bit of that tonight. And then a little bit of salt, and that's basically it. It's just basically garbanzo beans, lemon, garlic, herbs, a little bit of the olive oil, and a pinch of sea salt. You could use a little bit of sesame tahini. That would give it a little bit more of an earthier flavor. I happen not to have any of that on hand, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you what it's like without. So first of all, I'm going to take 4 of my garlic cloves, and I just chopped them up just slightly. And I'm going to just put my olive oil in here and just start the process, because I'm using my my small little blender because this works a lot easier. I'm using my magic bullet. So I'm just going to put 2 tablespoons of the olive oil in here. And that'll get this going right away. And by the way, this is just an easy way to make a This is just an easy way to start making something like a pesto. So I make herbal pestos all the time. I'm going to actually take my chopped herbs that I did right now. This is my chervil, my dill, and my parsley. And I'm actually going to go ahead and take a little bit more of each of these. And when I go ahead and use my herbs, I actually use all of it. I use the stems as well as the leaves, because in a recipe like this, you're actually getting a little bit more fiber. You're getting a delicious flavor. The stems are actually just as nutritious as the leaves themselves. So I put the whole thing in. I don't waste anything. And if I was just interested in making a pesto that I could use on a number of things, I've just included all three of the ingredients that are important. Garlic, which is basically acts like an antioxidant. The herbs, which is your flavor component. And then your olive oil, which is basically your fat that's going to hold them in, is going to be able to hold them in an emulsion. So I'm putting my chervil in here right now. You know, and you could use whatever herbs are available. In fact, I've got nasturtiums in my garden. I could put some of the nasturtium leaves in there if I wanted to. So I'm going to add my 2 more tablespoons of olive oil. And, you know, the last thing that you could do that would really help add some flavor in here would just be a little bit of, just a few crushes of sea salt. That acts as a little bit of an antioxidant as well as a way of preserving those flavors. So I'm going to just turn this over, get my magic bullet to work. And I can see that I still got a couple of chunks of garlic in there, so I'm going to just put just a little bit more olive oil in here and let that just blend up really well, and then we'll throw our garbanzo beans in. By the way, this is just a great example of a recipe that comes in handy for a lot of things. All right, now we're really getting an emulsion going. Now, does that look like spring? This is just a great color. This, by the way, is wonderful. This is, you know, if you just did this, just that fabulous concoction of all those wonderful herbs, that works really great on fish. You could use that on top of some of your greatest vegetables.
Oh, I can smell it.
Yeah, but I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to put my lemon juice in there. So this is my squeezed 1 whole Meyer lemon. And now we're going to put in our garbanzo beans that are raw. And I soaked basically a whole, gosh, I guess I soaked about 2 cups worth of garbanzo beans. So I'm going to just put in enough here just to, alright, you can see I love to make a mess here. Alright, let's turn this over and the things I love about my magic bullet is that it's so much easier to clean than if I was to use my big food processor. I can just turn this over and I've got my containers all set to go. So let me just do this. I'm going to get a little spoon here and stir that around and get some of that. You can see this is not your typically colored hummus, but I can tell you what, this one, you are going to be blown away by the flavor of this. Blown away by the flavor, and it's something that you'll make over and over again.
Smell it from here.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and we'll get a little bit of olive oil here that's seeping out. So let's go ahead and turn that over. All right. I have a little bit maybe here at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and just take this out and show you a little bit of the texture of what we've got. And I like mine chunky. Some people might like to have it a little bit more firmly ground, and that's fine, but I can tell you what, this is a great, great dip for your vegetables, and I keep mine in a container and in the refrigerator, and Dr. Peters and I, when we come home from work, oftentimes we'll have this chunky raw hummus with our vegetables. If you want to go ahead, if you've got a blender that's a little bit more stronger, like a Vitamixer, you would definitely be able to go ahead and just you know, have that till it's finely puree. But I like it actually a little bit more chunky, and you'll find that when you do these beautiful raw garbanzo beans, that they actually get soft. They actually are soft to chew. They're not maybe like as if you fully cook them, but surprisingly, 3 days, going ahead and have them their little tails, getting to the point where they're actually a sprout, they actually have quite a bit of amazing nutrition in them. So if you're looking to go ahead and add more raw enzymes into your diet, using some of this wonderful, herbal pesto is the way to go, particularly with this delicious herbs that are in here. So I'm going to go ahead and puree this up a little bit more, but I wanted to just show you that I keep mine in the chunky stage. And with that in mind, I want to just show you 2 or 3 other things that I'm going to do just to tie up this week. We're getting ready for dinner tonight, so we're going to have a little bit of that herbal pesto with some extra vegetables. And tonight I went ahead and I wanted to just explain to you what we're going to be going into for this upcoming week. So this week we're going to be looking more at protein. Last week it was really looking at getting more of your starches into your diet. This week it's going to be looking at quality protein. I was going to do fats, but I'm actually going to hold off on that. So this week we're going to be looking at how you can get more quality meat, fish, and poultry, as well as protein from your beans. And look at how you could extend your beans using some quality meats, fish, or poultry. So for those of you that are more vegetarian or would like to go ahead and do more vegetarian meals, I'm going to show you a couple of ideas. I'm also going to show you about how to shop for meat and where what you want to be thinking about when you're choosing the best quality of proteins. So tonight I made a turkey meatloaf, and I'm going to be serving that with a couple of vegetables. On Sunday nights we like to actually just clean up our refrigerator. So I had some leftover turnips, and I took these turnips and I actually just put a little bit of this olive oil on top of them and served it with some Brussels sprouts, which I just cut in half, just lightly drizzled a little bit of olive oil, and then 2 seeds that are amazing for any of your cruciferous vegetables. One is dill seed, and the other one is caraway seed. Let me pull that up a little bit. And caraway, one of the things that I love about it is that caraway is great for digestion, and it has a little bit of a sweetness to it, so that when you cook them, you'll find that the flavors actually marry really well with these stronger cruciferous vegetables like a turnip or a rutabaga or a cauliflower or a broccoli or a cabbage. These things are actually wonderful for us, but sometimes those bitter flavors are difficult for some of you to accept. So using your sweeter the seeds that will help to bring out more of a sweetness are great. And then another possibility is using a little bit of like a sweeter type vinegar. So this is a pomegranate balsamic vinegar. Just a little drizzle of that on top is going to add a lot of bit of flavor and a little bit of sweetness that will help to balance and marry that stronger bitter flavors. And then with that I'm going to be serving I've got a squash, and I wanted to go ahead and use that up, so I'm going to take this squash, I'm going to go ahead and be serving that with a little bit of sage and some butter on top of that, and we'll have our lovely turkey meatloaf and kick off another week. So with that, I look forward to talking with you on Tuesday, and I'll be posting up these recipes first thing tomorrow morning, so do take a look at them and see what's coming, which is really going to be adding the 3rd component and the key nutrient into your diet, besides carbohydrates, healthy proteins. So with that, have a great evening, and I'll be talking to you soon.